the Big Friendly Swim podcast, and I'm the Big Friendly host. And today's guest is just graduated 5th year out of University of Georgia, and pretty good breaststroker, Zoie Hartman. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So tell me about what initially drew you to Georgia, and like what the commitment process was like, and if there were any schools that you had on the table that you were thinking about as well.
Yeah, oh gosh, such a long time ago. It was I had originally I didn't really know because I feel like a lot of kids growing up had like their parents like they went to well, we're from California, so they were like I went to Cal or I went to Stanford and like those kids grew up like idolizing those schools and I mean, my parents went to a private college um in Iowa and they were like, it's whatever you want to do. So I kind of was like I didn't have a sort of direction right off the bat. So I kind of just was like really open to a lot of schools and like what they could offer me and I knew myself individually and what I wanted out of a program, so I kept that like at the forefront of any decision that I was making. And I fell in love with Georgia. I fell in love with Jack Bowerly and Steph and all the staff. When I took my unofficial trip there, um, I loved it so much just because I could tell um, on the team that the culture and it was just like a big family. And I felt that I had missed that from my club team. And that's what I was like really, I gravitated towards because it was something that I didn't have or I kind of lacked on my club team. So I really really loved that and I could tell that the team was very family oriented and I mean we have like sister groups on the women's side. It's so fun. Just stuff like that, but um the process is very stressful. Being a junior and or even a sophomore, like I just feel that it was like a lot of pressure to not only yourself but like other people. I fortunately didn't have the only pressure I had was from myself in that process, but I know other girls and other boys when going through that process have like their coaches' input, their parents' input, their friends' input, and you're just getting all this information and you're just like a 15, 16-year-old kid that like doesn't really know what they want 100%. So the recruiting process I think is like in general just very stressful. But I was fortunate to have parents and coaches and friends that supported me no matter what I chose. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I feel like now especially like recruiting is getting younger and younger.
Yeah.
Like that kid, I'm sure you've heard of him, Luka Mijatovic.
Yes, yes, I
I
have.
like
My sister
I
has told me about him.
I lifeguard at the pool that he swims at, so I just get
Yeah,
paid to sit there and watch like this 14-year-old go like crazy fast times.
yeah, it's
But like
crazy.
people are already talking about with him, like, oh, where's he gonna go to college? Where's he gonna go to college? And I'm like, guys, he's a freshman.
Like, let him
Let's
live.
yeah,
Let's
let's
not.
let him enjoy being a kid first, and then we'll talk
Yes,
about that later.
yes, that's how I feel. But I mean, I guess the recruiting process, if you do want to go to college to swim, is inevitable anyway. But
Yeah.
they do keep making it like younger and younger, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're like 14, 15. They don't know.
He's gonna be an absurd college swimmer though if he
Yes,
keeps
it's
his
gonna be so
trajectory.
exciting. Yeah, it's gonna be so exciting to watch.
So speaking of club swimming and high school swimming, you touched on it a little bit, but how do you think your experiences swimming in high school for Crow Canyon and for Monte Vista set you up well for your college experiences?
I think my club team did a phenomenal job of preparing me for college swimming because it is a transition and I'm so grateful for Coach Joe and Coach Ethan for giving me all those hard sets, even though I really didn't want to do them. Like I used to do like we used to every Wednesday like 8 500s best average.
Oh God.
And I would get so upset because I was in my head, I'm like, I'm not a distance swimmer. Why am I doing this? But as you get older and as you go through the college experience, you're like, oh, that's why. That's why. So I'm able to complete this practice. But I think they did a really good job, I think personally, of like really honing in on technique. Um, I think it's such a big part of swimming and like in avoidance of injuries. So a lot of people, like a lot of club teams, I feel like sometimes don't really um focus too much on that, on technique, and then they get to college and they ramp up the yardage real quick and then overuse injuries, something goes wrong with your tendons and ligaments in your shoulder, all that kind of stuff. But I was just so fortunate and I'm so grateful that I had coaches that were really stingy on my technique. Um, because it has helped me maintain my trajectory in college. Um, I think I just think that they did a really good job of like doing the practices I did on club when I was like 14, 15, and 16 are similar to practices I do now. And I feel like I'm just so grateful for all those sets that we do. My sister's doing it right now and she's she's getting ready to go to UVA, so she's kind of over it. But I keep telling her like this is like you're doing the right thing. Like this is good stuff. Like you're gonna like not enjoy it completely right now, but when you get to college, you're gonna see why it like helped you. So I think my club coaches did a really good job of transitioning me into college swimming. Even though it's still a hard process training wise, but like and mentally also, because now you have to balance like a lot more school and swimming. So I think like that I kind of had to learn on my own, um, because it is different. It's not high school. Um, but yeah, I think my coaches did a really, really good job.
This is just my own curiosity asking. Was there a guy on the team when you swam by the name of RJ Scott?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think he's still
He was like
coaching
in
with
and
them
out.
too. Yeah, he's a chaotic guy, but it was just my own curiosity wondering.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
Um, I like a similar thing that I think of when you talk about like those sets preparing you is like when I was in high school, I did a biotech class, and it was a completely lab oriented class.
Hmm.
And at the time, I kind of hated it,
Yeah.
but sorry, let me clear my throat 1 second.
Oh, you're fine.
Um, I've like still been coming off of that same sickness. Like I'm sure you can hear it in my
Yeah.
voice. It's lingered for so long.
It will get you down.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like the cough is almost gone, but I've
Yeah.
still been coming off of that same sickness from like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
But back to my lawn tangent. I hated it, and then when I got to college and I was doing similar lab-based courses, it was exactly the same lab, but with like
Yeah.
different measurements or slightly different things. So, like, and it was a similar thing for my swimming. When I got to college and I swam, my sets that I hated in high school set me up well for difficult sets that I did in college, and it was the reason I was able to finish them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really, I mean, it's always like in the moment, you're like, God, why am I doing this? This is so annoying. And then later on in life, you're like, oh, I see now. I see why.
Yeah. So Georgia initially was a combined program, and Jack Bowerly is a legendary coach.
I love
And
Jack
like
Harlow.
when he retired, obviously it was big shoes to fill. But it seems like, at least from what your teammate Abby McCullough told me too, it seems like that's been not really as big of a transition or as big of a difficult transition as one would expect it potentially
Yeah.
could happen.
Yeah.
What do you think are the strengths of the Georgia program when it was a combined program, and then what do you think are the strengths now that it's a split team?
I think in some ways the strengths are the same. just in different situations. I think as a whole, when we were a combined team, the camaraderie we had together, like it was like glue almost that like held us together. And like, I mean, Jack was the forefront of it all, and like he was amazing and I love him. And I also love Steph so much. And she was like the assistant under Jack and coached me. Jack and Steph kind of coached me mainly. So I had a really good relationship with Steph and Jack. So when Jack stepped down, and the program became two men and women, I think the same because we had such a great leader, Steph. Um, the camaraderie strength between the women held strong, and I think that's what got us through what could have been a really hard time. Um, and I think having that leadership from Steph also creates some sort of trust and like comfort with the whole team. And I think that was a really big factor in the, I guess, avoidance of not falling apart. I feel like we were like, we're gonna make this work. We love each other. Like we're gonna be really good. Like this is gonna be great. And I think having that mentality followed by a really great leader and the camaraderie we have as a whole, as a team, really took us far and is going to take us very far in the future.
I think it almost reminds me of like when Greg Troy stepped down at University of Florida.
Yeah.
It's a much easier transition to bring someone up to a head coach who was already like an assistant coach on the team
Yeah.
and
Who's
already
already
has
doing
that
it.
built-in trust. Because
Hmm.
like Florida has not skipped a beat under
Yeah.
Anthony Nesty, and it seems like it's a similar thing with Georgia, and now probably under ASU as well under Herbie Bem.
Yeah. I just think it's like an easier move. Like, not that it's like it can't be done if you find someone else outside of that staff, but it's definitely, I feel, an easier process when your swimmers trust you already. Because
Yeah,
then
definitely.
you're not having to like rebuild trust between like a new person and like the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's I'm grateful that we had that opportunity. I'm so proud of Steph and what she's done already. So
I got to see the video. Abby was telling me about it. The video of you guys surprising her
oh
with a new
yeah.
dog. Such a
Yeah.
cute video. I love it
I
so much.
know. We were so excited. That was the senior we my senior class last year decided to do that because that summer her previous bulldog George passed away and she loved him like a son. She wasn't at practice for a while after he had passed away, which goes to show how much she loved him. And we were like, well, at the end of the year we do senior gifts and we were like, well, what do we want to do? Like what should we do? and and we were thinking and we were like, well, maybe we should get her a dog. And we texted with her husband and we were like, is she ready? First of all, like, and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, yes, like 100% go do it. And so we did it. And it was seeing her face when we like turned her chair around with the little puppy on it. I wish I could like freeze frame it and like frame it in my room forever. It is, I am so happy we did that for her.
It like it honestly it shows like the strength that that team has and the bond that that team has.
Yeah.
That was the first thing you guys thought of when you were trying to think of like what can we do for our coach.
Hmm.
I mean, like that's much better than like my freshman year of college. We got my coaches like a pair of Crocs.
Those are so lovely.
They are, but it just that's definitely like a really well thought out like
Yeah,
gift that like
yeah,
she's
yeah.
probably gonna carry that memory with her for like her entire coaching career.
Oh, I hope so. We love her so much.
So you had a similar experience to me. This is fun. This is the first time I've gotten to talk to someone who is in the same year as me school wise.
Yeah.
Your freshman year got kind of uprooted by COVID towards the end there. How did that change your mentality and your approach to your condensed sophomore season?
So, I mean, I think COVID hit swimming as a whole like real hard because it was like we were supposed to host NCAA's that year.
Yeah, I
Georgia
remember
was.
the.
And so they had like all the lane lines and the flags and the blocks and everything. They had everything in. And then we had the announcement came out being like, oh, it's all canceled. Sorry, go home. And as a freshman, like making it my freshman year is like a huge accomplishment in itself. And I was very like, well, okay, well, now what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do now because I've been preparing my whole collegiate like season for this, and now it's gone. And um, but I got to go home, um, and I couldn't swim, so I did a lot of like running and stuff, which I hate running. But I was like, I have to stay in shape somehow. Um, but I think it taught me that like swimming is not forever. And not that it's like a sad thought, but just like be grateful for the time that you have and the opportunities that you do get with swimming because it's not going to last forever. Um, and so I really had to learn and kind of like think about who I am outside of swimming because for a long time it was like, oh, I'm a swimmer. I'm a swimmer. That's my identity. I'm a swimmer. Um, and like it's like it is a part of your identity and it always will be a part of my identity, but it's not what defines me. And I think that's what was really hard to like kind of grasp was just because it's been a part of your life for so long, you're so used to it. And then it kind of just gets ripped out from underneath you. And I think that it was just like I had to relearn who I was outside of swimming. And that was a really hard process to take. It was a really long process and it's still happening. But yeah, I finally got like a little bit of a hang of it coming out of it, out of COVID. And my sophomore year, I kind of was like, well, let's just go balls to the wall, like give it all I have every year, give 110% of whatever I have in every season, and I will be proud of myself no matter what. As long as I gave that effort, even if the time isn't there or whatever, I didn't win or whatever it was, like as long as I gave 110 or 100% of my effort that day or that race or whatever, I can be proud of myself. And that's kind of what I took away from everything that was COVID.
I COVID actually at first it sucked. Like at first it was like
Oh yeah.
at first I
I was
hated
down in
it
the
so
dumps.
much. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I remember we had like Zoom calls with my team where we'd do like dry land. We had like a team Minecraft server was
Yeah.
like the way we all kept in touch. And I got to swim in one of our family friends' backyard pool. And
Yeah.
it was about like 10 yards and like I got these giant arms.
I
So
know,
like
so do
I'd do
I.
like three strokes of freestyle
Yeah.
and I'd be that but I'd be in there for like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
But ultimately it ended up kind of giving me a new lease on my swimming career
Hmm.
because I swam for community college. I'm sure you've heard of it. I swam for Las Positas College.
Yes. Yeah.
And community colleges only get 2 years in California.
Oh, okay.
So my freshman year got cut off about halfway through. And then
Yeah.
my sophomore year didn't count towards my eligibility. Like we
Oh,
got to compete as many times as we wanted against whoever we wanted, but it didn't count towards our eligibility. So I got 4 years out of two, and I like ended up starting this podcast out of COVID.
yeah.
So it was like it ultimately ended up being a blessing in disguise and a really big learning experience.
Yeah, for
But in
sure.
the moment, it sucks.
Yes, it sucked in the moment. Oh my God. I was so depressed. Beginning of it because I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Kind of thing. But that I think helped me turn it around and just be like looking at it from a new perspective.
My family has like a big projector screen that like goes up on our wall,
Yeah.
and like I would just be sitting on it for like 4 hours into the night, like up to like 3, 4 a.m. just like watching swimming videos. I have a picture. I'll find it. I'll send it to you of me like
Yeah.
in my backyard with like resistance cables, like trying like
Yeah.
imitating swimming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was losing my mind a little bit, but it's okay. That's besides the point.
Yeah, that's besides the point.
So now that your college career has concluded, this is something fun that I love to ask seniors or fifth years.
Yeah.
Compare your emotions now to your freshman year.
I think my freshman year I was just excited to like be a part of something bigger than myself and just be a part of something that's so cool as Georgia swimming. And then this last year I think it's definitely still the same excitement, but more now like grateful and just like looking back at it all and like just thinking, wow, like I had such a great opportunity and I completed it knowing that I did the best that I could for this team and for myself. So I think gratitude is like the shift from freshman to your senior or fifth year. Um, so yeah, I think it was just yeah, that I was just so excited as a freshman. I was like, I'm so excited to be a part of like a D1 college swimming team, you know? And then yeah, and then now it's like I still have that same excitement, but now it's more like gratitude and looking back and like reflecting almost.
Yeah, I remember like my last meet because I was like, I was the by the time I got to my last meet, there was no one on the team from my first year.
Yeah.
I think there was one guy actually. He was on the team from my first year. Um, and I remember I bought like I wear those like goofy Swedish goggles,
Oh yeah.
like
Some people
without
do.
the
Yeah.
yeah. I love them. I like, but my coach would like jokingly make fun of them all the time.
Really?
So as a joke, I bought him a pair of them as a gift for like my
Oh,
last
that
meet.
was good. Yeah.
And I remember walking up to him and just holding up the bag and just like being like, "These are for you," and just sobbing like
Oh,
immediately. And
yeah.
he started crying, and then we both started laughing.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah, I
very emotional.
that feeling of like gratitude of like, especially for you because you had a similar thing as a fifth year, like you got another extra year out of it.
Yeah, I did. So grateful for it.
Like that feeling of like knowing that under normal circumstances that you wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that
Yeah.
and being just so grateful for that time. Like just
For sure.
I definitely understand that feeling.
Yeah.
So similar sort of building off of that, like now that again now that your fifth year is done, what's next for you from here? And I know like goals are important and I don't want you to share anything you're not comfortable sharing. But
Right.
what are some goals that you have now that your college career is done?
Well, some goals I have are to complete my doctorate in physical therapy. I'm going to PT school next or this August. So, I've got that lined up. So, to do well in school is probably a big goal of mine. That's kind of where my focus is at this upcoming, I guess, 3 years. So, I'm excited for it and nervous because it's a whole other chapter that I've never really experienced before. Um, but I'm excited, and I think that swimming has prepared me to be successful in that way. Um, being developing the skills of like time management and determination and all that kind of stuff that I feel like will help carry me through PT school. So, I'm really excited. But yeah.
You know, I like there's a bit of like I don't want it's not irony is the wrong word, but there's a bit of like universe planning that it's just kind of funny that you're going from being a swimmer to getting a
Physical
degree in
therapy.
physical therapy. I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know what the right word is there to call that.
Oh,
But
I
it
know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it either.
yeah. It's just a bit of like positive irony. I don't know.
Yeah, positive. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I know, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but I grew up a lot around like injuries and rehab and prehab, and it had always interested me, and so I'm really excited for this next challenge and adventure.
Well, that's exciting. Like I'm excited to see what comes for you from that opportunity.
Yeah.
So there's a set that I want to go through with you, and if you don't have it, I can pull it up for you as well.
Oh yeah. Yes, please.
Um, Let me drop the link to the image for you. That link, that scarily long link should work.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that long. I just opened the image in a new tab and I sent the link.
Okay, I have it pulled up.
So when I was doing research for this interview, I came across a bunch of sets that seemed like they. I mean, it says Hartman sets, so it seemed like they were specifically written for you. So this one was
Yeah.
Friday, January 1st, 2023. Walk me through this set and like whether it was one that you did often and then like what you got out of it.
Uh, so this, there's some parts of it that we do often, not all of it. This was a lot of fin stuff that normally we don't really do a lot of fin stuff. Um, but it also kind of tackled all of the strokes, which is like, I like doing that. I like doing all of the strokes instead of like really solely focusing on one. Um, but the preset is very typical for our sets on and I this is an IM group set, if I didn't clarify that. And it's always on Fridays. And when Jack was still here, he would always write it, and now Steph always writes it. But that main set, the 12 150s, I actually do remember doing that. And it was hard. But they always do like that's very typical, the odds and evens of the 150s and making IM and free. Um, so it mostly was just to hold a good pace and for both of IM and freestyle. Um, and kind of working and holding technique was kind of like a big point to this too. Um, I do remember doing that. The 50s the 150s freestyle sucked.
It's always so much fun for me to talk to like coaches or swimmers about like sets that they've done.
Yeah.
Those 12 150s. I was at I'm sure you might have gone to it, the Cal Invite meet that they host every
Yeah.
year.
I think we went there one time, and it was when the weather was really not good.
I remember that year. It was pretty bad. But I
Yeah.
like every time I'd go to it, like 15, 16, 17-year-old me would go up to the Cal guys on the team and be like, "All right, give me some sets." And one of the sets that one of the distance guys on the team told me was 24 150s on 130, all freestyle.
Oh gosh.
So my coach changed it to 2 rounds of 12 on like
Yeah.
I think on like a 125 or 130 base at the time.
Okay.
It was brutal. I hated every second. I can't even imagine doing 12 150s with the odd ones being like fly back and breast.
Yeah, that was yeah. It like for me at least for me at least it like takes me a little bit to like kind of get in the groove, but usually once you find it, it's pretty doable. And you can I mean, I remember killing that set and I remember Steph being like you did really great and I was like, "Are you sure?" Um are you seeing the same set that I'm seeing? Um But yeah, we always do a main and then it's very, very common for like a pull set or some sort of like fly work, especially for me, because fly is my worst stroke. They would always put fly work at the end when you're tired. So, you can work on it, what the technique of it all while you're tired. Um, but yeah, I remember doing the 200 weak stroke with fins and then 100 choice and doing I remember the set, yeah. Yeah, it was a good set. It just, it's a typical IM set and it was geared towards me in the way that I had to work all my strokes and work the technique of all of it and not fall apart on the fly.
From what it sounds like, are you also someone who needs a lot of warm up before the main set?
Yeah. I used to not be. I used to be in club and in like I'd say maybe my freshman year I used to be like I could roll into it pretty well, but now in my old age of a fifth year, I need so much more warm up than I did when I was younger. And so like usually the first part of any kind of main set is kind of me trying to like get into it, and then once I'm into it, I'm good.
I started club swimming like really late when I was like right after my freshman year of high school, and I always wanted to be a sprinter. Like Nicolas Santos, that 50 butterfly Brazilian guy, is like
Yeah.
my hero. I came to the really sad realization my freshman year of college when I went a lifetime best in my 50 free by like almost like half a second, 5 minutes after swimming the mile,
Oh,
that I may have not been a sprinter.
I
That I
am
may
gonna
need a
find
lot
that
of
a
warm up.
sprinter. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a really sad realization that I came to.
I know, isn't it for everybody? Everybody tries and then it just doesn't work out
Yeah.
that way.
So my last set of questions for you here, this is something fun I've been doing my last couple of interviews, is I just wrote a few like quick fun questions that also happen to work really well for Instagram reels.
Okay. Hint, hint,
So
wink, wink.
I modeled one of these after the question I asked your teammate Abby McCullough. I asked her what would her main event be if she wasn't a distance swimmer. What
Oh.
would your main stroke be if not breaststroke?
Um, I think I think I'd have to say backstroke. I don't swim it often, but I'm not bad at it. And I think I got good at it because I would train IM. So having done a lot of backstroke in IM sets, I would like to say that I'm pretty good at the two back. I can't say that for the 100. I wish I could, but I can't. Um, but I'd say probably backstroke would be like my other, if I couldn't, if breaststroke wasn't it, then I would probably do backstroke.
You know, I like whenever somebody asks me like my main stroke, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, that's
'Cause
what I
I'm,
say sometimes.
yeah,
I'm always like, I mean, I like everybody knows me as a breaststroker, but like I do IM, which is like all four of the strokes. I'm definitely not a flyer. A 50 of it is that is great and good.
yeah.
I'm moving on to backstroke. But I'm pretty good at freestyle and I'm pretty good at backstroke. So I usually just say like brush and IM, which kind of entails all of it. But yeah.
I would like I've got like a decent 100 fly, but not a good 200 fly, and I'm like I've got a good 200 back, but not a good 100 back. So it's like
Yeah.
each like I always say free and IM because like my main two events I did in college were the 400 IM and the mile.
Yeah.
So like those are always the default answers I give,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it's always like I don't know, man.
Put me in anything
Yeah,
besides
just
distance and I'll do it.
I was like the Swiss Army knife for the team. Like you'd put me in anything, and I'd probably make a final at conference in it, except for like the 50 and the 100 free.
Yeah. Yeah. They're so competitive in the 50 and the
Oh
100.
yeah. So, what relay, if any, like if you got to see a new relay added to swim meets,
Mm.
what would you want it to be?
I feel like we already do so many relays.
We got to get some non-freestyle relays in there.
You're right. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I would say just for like my laughter, like for me, do like a brush all breaststroke relay. Just because like, I know that like breaststroke is very hard. It's a technical, very technical stroke. And not everybody has it, but like I feel like it would just be fun to watch like a bunch of people just try and do breaststroke. But if like competitively, I think it would be kind of fun. I wouldn't want to do this, but to watch an 800 medley relay.
I was gonna say,
I would, because
yeah.
yeah, I think that would be really, really fun to watch and just it would be a really long race, but
Oh yeah.
it would take a long time. But it would be, I think it'd be really cool to watch for
There,
sure.
there are some schools in some countries that could probably put together like a pretty phenomenal 800 medley relay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would want to see it, I think.
So my last question for you, what have been some of your favorite memories throughout your swim career? And this doesn't necessarily have to just be college, but just your
Hmm.
favorite memories from like your entire time that you've spent in the sport.
Oh, there's like so many. If I had to pick from like high school, I'd say like the traveling meets that I got to go to, like Junior Pan Packs and Mel's Ajax. I thought those were so fun to me. Like, and I made friends there that like I still talk to now. And um I look back on those meets and I don't remember the swimming as much, but I remember like how much fun I had with the team that was there. And I'd say college-wise, I would say like almost something similar, like just the friendships that and the journeys that I've gone on with my classmates, like with my class. It it's so much fun to look back and be like and just think of all the funny things that we would do with each other and all the kind of like the highs and the lows of everything. I just think that all those experiences, like not necessarily with swimming, but like having like team dinners at Steph's house and like just cracking jokes with her and making fun of Steph and her she's laughing in the corner as well. Like it's just so I just think I those are the kinds of memories that I look back on and I will I think cherish forever.
I like you're talking about like those memories of like not really remembering the swimming. Like I think back to like my freshman year and like I don't remember necessarily the disappointment of hearing that my season was canceled.
Hmm.
I remember spending because we had that last day, like spending it with my teammates, and there's a picture of like 30 of us piled into like one of the diving hot tubs, which
Yeah.
probably wasn't the best idea given the, but
But
like
that's in the past.
it's
We've done
okay.
it.
And like I've got like videos of like my teammates tarp running. So, like
Yeah.
I don't remember like the swimming or even like the disappointment of that meeting that we had, but I remember
Yeah.
like the positive memories and like the friendships made.
Yeah. And I think that goes to show how much of like the culture you had on that team. You know what I mean? Like how much of a family kind of it was and like the fact that you can only really remember the good or the positive of it goes to show a lot for the team that you were on and um the culture that you cultivated together
I'm
as
still
it.
like regularly with the team too. Like I'm going with them tomorrow to their conference meet to announce for the meet. Like my
Oh, that's
coach
so
can't.
cool.
He's not getting rid of me. There's he's
Yeah. You
that's what he's
can't get rid of
understood.
me.
Yeah.
Steph's telling me that. She's like, you're not gonna get rid of me. And I was like, I'm leaving.
No, I'm very lucky. Like my coach, he's like given me many opportunities. Like he took me along with them to the state championship meet last year,
Yeah.
and he like had like a whole argument with the people commentating the meet live on like YouTube to get me in there and get me commentating for one of the races. Like
That's
I
so
watched him
cool.
for like 20 minutes convincing them. So I'm very grateful. Like he's given me so many opportunities even when I'm not on the
Yeah.
team anymore.
Yeah. That you always have that relationship, I feel, even when you're outside of college. Like I
Oh
know
yeah.
Steph will be in my life forever.
He constantly makes the joke like I'm the swimmer that he's had for the longest amount of time.
Yeah.
Like he's been the head coach at our for our team like for 13 years. So like I've been around for over a third of his coaching
Yeah.
career.
Yeah. Yeah. But that builds for like the best
Oh
relationships, you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Zoe, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Before we go, I always give time at the end of these interviews, and I definitely didn't rip this idea from Hot Ones. For the person I'm talking to have the floor and talk about whatever they want. So that could be like sponsorships, people like plug their Instagram, which will be in the description of the video.
In the description below.
Yeah. And like people have talked about like their favorite football teams. So like the floor is yours to talk about whatever
Yeah.
you want.
Okay. I guess I'll just speak to like the upcoming classes into college swimming. It's not a straight trajectory upward. It will be a roller coasters of up and downs, but as long as you keep your head down and keep to the grind, it's going to be okay. And as long as you also create those relationships with people, you will be okay. It will be okay. That's all I have.
That's something I've seen like so many people that I know who went on to swim in college, like that I know personally, I've seen them like forget about it, and like they've
It's really
unfortunately aren't
easy to
swimming
forget.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really easy to forget that and just kind of expect everything to go well, you know?
Like
And
I
it's
don't know
not
if
gonna.
you I don't know if you remember, and I'll probably cut this part out of the video, but I don't know if you remember Miranda Heckman.
I do, yeah.
Like we haven't talked in a few years, but she had a pretty rough time at Texas from what she told me, and then she tried to go on to NC State and had like a okay time there, but now isn't even
Yeah.
swimming anymore.
Yeah.
It's something that I think so many people forget about. Like swimming isn't everything, and also don't put all of yourself into it.
I just it's like you have to understand that swimming, I can't speak for other sports, but like swimming specifically is never going to be an upward trajectory.
Yeah.
If you zoom out and watch the graph, it might be, but if you zoom in, there's all these little like like
Yeah.
bumps in the road that like people will take the small bumps and be like, "Oh my God, like my career's ruined." Like, I added so much time or this season sucked and whatever. And that's just part of it. And you have to kind of accept that and roll with the punches almost.
I remember like my freshman year, my first ever club meet, I went like 26.10 in the 50 free, and I was like, I'm the greatest. And then I
I've done
never
it.
went faster. I
Yeah.
didn't go a faster time until my senior year of high school. I missed a week of practice because I was sick,
Yeah.
and I went like 25.9.
Yeah.
And then like a month later, I went 24.9.
Yeah.
And I
It's
was like,
crazy.
so
What's
it
happening?
definitely, yeah, I was like, I'm the greatest again. So
I
it
am happy.
definitely isn't like an upwards trajectory. It's
No, it
like
is not.
it's
Yeah.
a whoop whoop, like you said.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great description.